Is Jeffrey Epstein about to take down the felon? Let's look into that. Welcome to Scrying Out Loud. My name is Trevor. First, I have a huge thank you to everybody who's subscribed to the channel. Thank you for liking, watching, commenting on the videos, sharing the videos, watching them all the way to the end. That's what's made this channel really grow. And thank you to everybody who's reached out with an email or a message via the post asking me how I was doing with my cold. And I'm getting there. I'm not 100%, but definitely doing better. So, and thank you in particular to the members of the Soul community, which is the YouTube membership, for reaching out and being so gracious during this time that I needed to rest. So, um, make sure you're taking your vitamin C. There's lots of COVID, lots of flu, lots of RSV. Just saying. Okay, so the House is going to vote on whether to release the Epstein documents. This is a change. This developed early this morning. It had seemed that Mike Johnson was going to try to keep the House out of session to kind of delay this a little bit further, but I think it's become clear that there is no delaying it. I think they tried to buy Lauren Boebert's vote to get her off the petition, but then I think they realized that there's just going to be another signature to the petition, even if they did. The question is, how big will the vote be? And then it needs to move to the Senate. How big will the vote be in the Senate? So we'll look at both the Epstein vote in the House, the Epstein vote in the Senate. In particular, will we get more than 290 votes in the House and more than 66 votes in the Senate so that the felon can't veto it? Or at least, well, he can veto it and then they can come back and override the veto. So there's a lot at play here. But the felon announced today that he wanted probes into high-profile Democrats related to Epstein, which tells me he knows this is going to happen. Um, I think. I don't know that we get the veto proof stuff, but I think there's going to be this slow drip of information like we've seen. So we'll look at that. I also want to look at, is this how MAGA splits? Is this the thing that causes MAGA to split beyond repair? And then let's also look at how is this affecting his health? And then I also want to look at the Tennessee special election, which will take place on December 2nd. Um, this is a special election to replace, I think it was Mark Green, who retired. It's a heavily Republican district. I think it's a long shot for Democrats to win, but you never know. Um, the felon is very much disliked by the country. So let's start there, um, and just ask. So, uh, Bain is the Democrat, Van Epps is the Republican running. There's some independent candidates on there. Well, I do feel like Tennessee requires 50% of the voter. There's a runoff, but I could be wrong on that. I probably should look that up. But let's just see. Can Democrat Bain win this election? Democrat. It's a big lift. I mean, this is a Republican plus 20 something district. Um, Almost 30, I think, actually. It does encompass part of the Nashville area, so if the turnout's right, you never know. And turnout in the primary was really bad. There were only 4,000 more Republicans than Democrats that voted in the primaries, which tells you where the enthusiasm is because the Republicans outnumbered Democrats 2-1. While they technically don't have party registration, you can tell by the way people voted in previous primaries. So she comes across quite empathetic, the Queen Cups, talking about affordability, Republicans raising the price of health care. These are good messages, good messaging on her part. Talking about releasing the Epstein files. These are all salient points. Her challenge, though, is the consistency of the district itself. People are used to voting for uh, Democrat, or I mean for Republicans. So Um, I'm not so sure. Underneath, she does have some reasonably good fundraising for a special election, which Democrats really aren't pushing that much money into it, but they're pushing some. In the past, we have the Six of Cups, this intergenerational play. Now, what I think this has to do with is legacy Democrats. So, in states like Tennessee and Kentucky and West Virginia and others, there are a lot of people that are still registered as Democrats that vote primarily Republican because of legacy, right? Their parents were Democrats, their grandparents were Democrats, right? It goes back to the Dixiecrats of that opposed the Civil Rights Bill back in the 50s. Um, I think that's an important part here. We get the Three of Wands. There's an inevitability here. Curious to see what the near-term outcome is. The near-term outcome is justice. That is a good card for her. It's gonna be close. The scales could tip either way. Um, you know, we get the world cards the way she sees it. She sees it as the whole world is watching her and the chance to end a cycle. He sees it as a chance to just get into Congress by hook or by crook, as they say. Um, and once he's in Congress, he's going to take his swords and run. The Seven of Swords. He's not going to do anything. He won't be a productive member if he gets in. Epstein will be a focal point in the hopes and fears, although this House vote might very well be about this special election in some ways. Um, the Six of Pentacles, there's a lot of money going into this race for a special election. We get this, stability with the Queen of Pentacles, and we get loss with the Five of Pentacles. I mean, it's a tall order. She has some circles of support. There's going to be some mis and disinformation. She's certainly going to garner some votes because of the worries about money and the tariffs and economic anxiety. A lot of people are all in for her. There are things going on behind the scenes that we don't know to woo voters. The Four of Wands. My gut says that she makes it close. I think, she loses by less than 15 points, which is a victory. Because in a district like that, if she's losing by single digits in particular, Republicans are going to lose, 35, 40 seats in the midterms, even with the gerrymandering. So that's one to watch. So December 2nd is the date for that. Um, okay. So what do we need to know about the House vote on Epstein? So lots of backtracking here, lots of, refusing to swear in the congresswoman from Arizona to sign the last discharge paper, then a move to close the government right away after the vote to I'm sorry, close to, excuse me, a vote to close the House, to put the House out of session as soon as they reopened the government so that this wouldn't be taken up. Um, Lauren Boebert was invited to the White House. I think they tried to twist her arms. I think I think she knows that she would probably lose a primary if she went against this. She switched districts when the maps got redrawn into a much more conservative district. Her old district probably is going to go to the Democrats in 26. The vote on there's some propositions in Colorado about raising taxes on people making more than 300,000 to pay for free school lunches and a measure for the government to be able to keep money, excess tax money, to pay for school lunches. And both those passed overwhelmingly. And in particular, out west in Mesa County, Colorado, which is the big out west county. That's where Grand Junction, Colorado is. That's where the most people are out west. in that district, it overwhelmingly voted for it, which makes me think that it's starting to shift slightly left as the Latino vote runs away from Republicans. So what do we need to know about this House vote? Will they get 290 votes? 290 votes is what they'll need to overcome a filibuster. Thomas Massie seems to think that they will. Number of Republicans said they'll vote for it, even though they didn't sign the discharge paper. Yeah, I mean, the seed's been planted that this situation is really toxic for Republicans. Not supporting the release of Epstein documents is a bad policy. Excuse me, a bad policy position for Republicans because in particular that's what was ran on, right? Exposing corruption. The Nine of Pentacles, I think that they have a lot of votes here. The voters want them released. And you know what? The voters don't care that he's going to investigate Democrats involved. They don't. I don't. I mean, maybe you do, but anybody that was involved in anything inappropriate with Epstein should be investigated. It's really quite simple. This is like a universally agreed upon thing. We don't traffic in human beings and we don't hurt children. For entertainment purposes only, people are innocent until proven guilty, but um and it's just a tarot reading. But I think that's a universally agreed upon thing. We don't hurt children and we don't traffic in human beings. Um, the vote is meant to send a message, the Knight of Wands. I think we're going to be surprised by the vote. Um, hmm. We get the Empress card in the environment around. Russia knows all this information anyhow. I think that's what a lot of people are thinking. And I think a lot of people think that he is being blackmailed. And there's some emails that came out that suggested that Epstein was blackmailing him, or at least had lots of dirt on him. And this is stuff that I all said back in like February and in March that would start to come to light, and it's starting to come to light. It's really going exactly as I had seen it going. There'll be a lot of fighting, a lot of trying to persuade people not to vote for it, to try to keep it under the 290. But, at the end of the day, Republicans know that the felon is not going to be around forever. He's eventually going to go. I think he's going to exit the planet fairly soon, but even if he weren't, let's just play a hypothetical that he wasn't. He's not running for re-election in 4 years. He probably won't even be able to say his name if he were alive, which I don't think he will be, but um, there's life after him. I think that's why the death card's here. It's not so much about whether he's physically going to leave, it's about political life after him and being on the right side of that. So I think that's why uh, we'll find Republicans being a little bit more moderate here with the temperance card. So the seeds have been planted. I think we'll be surprised by how many people do the sensible thing that just say, let's do what he said he was going to do. Let's release the Epstein files. There's a lot of fighting. A lot of people are mad that his name keeps appearing in not just like passive ways, but kind of salacious ways. Um, and this is what the voters want. And there's an election coming up. Yes, I know those of you not in the US are like the election's a year away, but that's just not how it works in the US. The elections will start in January. They will, the campaigns that are. And then we have the primaries, and it's just a whole something the US needs to address, but the election season's way too long. I think Massey and Republicans have what they need to send a really clear message, and I think their argument is there's life after the felon is gone and that the stuff is going to come out anyhow because Russia probably has it. And there were emails there too. Epstein getting secret meetings with Russia, which a lot of people sent me really horrible emails when I said that because, oh, Epstein, uh, you know, heritage and working with Mossad and all this stuff would never allow him to work with Russia. You're going to do what you're going to do if you need to save yourself. And that's exactly what he was doing. And that's now clear that that's true. So that was also something else we got right on this. It's legacy. The felon's not going to be here forever. And stability and being able, the Four of Pentacles and the Seven of Wands, being able to defend themselves in front of the voters. So do they get 290? That's the bigger question. My guess is it's going to be really close. It's not going to be like 220. It's not going to be only 6 Republicans. It's going to be a lot. It'll be over 260. I don't know if it'll get to 290. That'll be interesting. I think it's 50-50 on whether it does. But it wouldn't also surprise me if we got 330 votes, right? It wouldn't. Because so much can change between now and the actual vote. More information getting leaked, not just about the felon. If Democrats are right, or smart, they would start to leak things about the creepy Democrats, like Larry Summers. Some stuff was leaked about him. He worked for the Clinton campaign, right? And asking Jeffrey Epstein if one of the people he was interested in was a prostitute, for example. Just really creepy stuff. So I think all in all, this is going to go probably against the felon here. 290 is a lot. I'm going to pause this really fast just to blow my nose. I'm back. I realized I probably didn't need to tell you that, but okay. What about the Senate? So the Senate would take 67 votes. This is harder. Um, now the Republicans up for re-election, they'll probably vote for it. But remember, there's only 34, 35, maybe 36 with all the special elections up for re-election, right? So that means that there's, 66 senators that aren't, out of which the majority, aren't. Uh, it's about, well, there's more Republicans. No, there's more. It's pretty close. So I don't think this next election is as influential as it is for the House. So will the Senate get to 60? Technically, they need 67 votes. Although it's just 2/3 of the people present. So look at the Ace of Swords. People do want the truth. That doesn't mean they're going to vote for it, but they do want the truth here. There's just a spy in the camp, so betrayal here. This is good. Full illumination, sun shining, things being revealed, and the darkness becoming light. The church, the court, the Pope, the Hierophant, our higher selves as well. Doing what's right. Playing innocent as if, like, well, if he doesn't really have anything to hide, why not? But there's some discernment too. I think it's a big moment in US political history, more so than people realize. This is a big thing. Um, the felon's party going against him to release a document he clearly doesn't want released, that he's clearly mentioned in multiple times, whether implicated in illegal activity or not. It's another story, but the one email suggested that he hung out with Epstein and underage girls, and that he was gawking at some of them and walked into a glass door. So whether they were underage or not, I guess that's not entirely clear, but given the history, but definitely the friendship between him and Epstein has been a big lie. Um, I don't know. It might be a step too far for some. And yeah, I don't think so here. I think a lot of them want the truth. A lot of them want to send a message, but I think unfortunately, you know, this will move forward. It'll pass. It'll get the 50 votes, and it'll probably pass the cloture vote of 60. Just whether they get 60 votes on the actual bill is a different story. This is a big moment. Messages being sent, and the potential for us to know all the facts, although the DOJ can stall things as well. There's going to be a lot of defections. A lot of people are going to do this because they think that's what's right. Um, but a lot of them aren't willing to swallow the medicine, and they're playing the political calculus, which is um, tricky. I don't know. As things moves forward, it might be delayed for a while. Um, this is what I think happens. I think it passes the House in a very big margin. I don't know if it's 290, but it's close. I think it passes the Senate with more than 60 votes. I don't know if it's 67. The felon will have to veto it. When it comes back to override that veto, and it will, do people change their minds? Because people are going to ask, why did he veto it? So stay close. This is quite interesting. Um, okay, so let's ask is this how MAGA dies? And then let's ask how's this affecting his health? So is this part of the ways that MAGA I've never seen MAGA lasting more than, past 2030. I don't know that they even um, play a big role in 2030. I think they slowly get absorbed into some mainstream Republicans. Some of them get absorbed by the Democrats. And then a lot of them just choose to stop voting again. You know, a lot of this like angry, younger white male energy that's there, they don't vote. They're not going to vote if he's not on the ticket in particular. And I'm not sure they vote when he is. So it's hard to separate the noise from the reality, is my point. Okay, well, we get the Three of Swords popping out. So heartache and betrayal. Magda feels very betrayed by this Epstein stuff. The felon's approval rating is terrible. In any of the reliable polls, it's not above 40% anymore. So we get the strength card to start out with. The movement itself, the idea of, and I hate this phrase because this phrase was a Charles Lindbergh pre-World War II Nazi phrase in the US, make America great, which most people don't know, but that's where it comes from. Uh, there's some strength to that idea, but at the same time, nobody's benefiting from the policies that are currently being implemented. So the people that are being elected to put forward this agenda aren't doing it in a way that's satisfying to people. So people are feeling quite trapped with the Eight of Swords here. Um, and cerebrally, they know they're not getting anything out of this. It's not benefiting them. It's not like we have cheaper grocery prices and, the stock market's way up. And not that everybody has money in the stock market, but, it's not going to make you be able to retire earlier. None of these things. So, we get the Ace of Cups, this surprising new beginning of an emotional way. I think this is the end, the Five of Pentacles, or the beginning of the end. Like all things, it takes a while to fizzle out. Just like the Tea Party in 2010. Yes, it was there in 2012. Part of the reason why Mitt Romney lost, because he had to cater to them. And then, and it was there a little bit in 2014. By 2016, it was replaced by MAGA. MAGA will be replaced by something else. It's just the way it's going to be. With the card for the Democrats, I think the Democrats absorb quite a few of these voters just based on economic populist issues such as affordable housing, such as affordable food, versus the felon who's proposing crazy things like a 50-year mortgage to reduce your ability to, or to help people's ability to buy a house. So I looked it up just for my own sake because I like numbers. So if you were to take a 30-year mortgage of say $300,000 and then a 50-year mortgage of 300,000 at the same interest rate, which it probably wouldn't because they probably raise the interest rate for the longer mortgage because that's generally the way it works because it's riskier. The payment is going to save you like $120 a month, but you're going to pay 20 more years of it. It is a scam. People are going to realize that too. The Ten of Swords, this is the end of this cycle. MAGA does die. And we get the Ace of Pentacles, newness all around, three aces. So um, the ideas are strong, but the execution isn't what people are wanting. So therefore, they're going to look to something new. And they're going to realize that the policies proposed by the Democrats were exactly what they wanted. They want more affordability. They want manufacturing jobs coming back to the US as best as can be happen, which was happening under Biden. So the Democrats bring this relief, which makes them feel a little bit less trapped. Now, I'm not saying every MAGA voter becomes a Democrat. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying, 10% maybe, but that's plenty to sway a lot of elections. The truth is out there, and what they've been had, right? They didn't get what they want. This is a very dark cycle, and everybody is worse off because of it. So it's really quite bad. Everybody's feeling the burdens. Things are moving really quickly with the Eight of Wands and the Knight of Swords. And we're coming to this end of the legacy of MAGA, the Ten of Pentacles. So the cards are very clear here. MAGA does not survive for much longer. Now, it probably dies around 2032 would be my guess. Somewhere in that range. Of course, it'll change names, right? All right, so how's this affecting his health? Particularly the Epstein stuff. Um, Nothing's changed. I still see him very much going soon. Um, it's much harder when I don't feel well to get intuitive messages. Sometimes I'll have really vivid dreams, but I don't always trust them. But a lot of the dreams that I have had are pictures of, a State of a Union address where you can't identify who's giving it, which means I think it's in flux. I really do. I think it could happen at any point in time. So how is his health? What's the felon's health with respect to this? It's definitely feeling like people have turned their backs on him. The hermit card popped out there. I think he's surprised that he can't keep the cult together, but that's what happens when your approval rating drops. And we have, an election where Democrats just literally swept everything, including races in Georgia and Mississippi. So, he looks at this situation and doesn't quite understand it, right? The Queen of Swords type of energy of like, why are they turning on me? Because he's too stupid. And yes, that's the right word, stupid. Um, to realize that they're using him just as much as he's using them to get power. And when he's a liability, they don't need him anymore. And I think it's confusing. Here he is in his own reading, the King of Pentacles. I'm not surprised at all. And the Hermit card popping out again. He's feeling very isolated from congressional Republicans. He doesn't get it. He might be able to control the Mike Johnsons and the John Thunes, because they're never going to lose an election. They are in districts that just it's super unlikely. Could John Thune theoretically lose in South Dakota? I mean, maybe, but it's unlikely. I mean, South Dakota is where Kristi Noem comes from, so it's unlikely. Uh, I don't think he knows what to expect from this vote or the future. I think he's waiting. There's so many different possibilities. His health, the Seven of Cups. We will get the truth eventually about this, the Ace of Swords. We get an end of the cycle and thinking about his family, the Ten of Cups. We get Judgment again. Like he really is. I don't think on his own volition. I think he's reliving some of the really horrible things he's done in life, partly because of the other side of the veil, so to speak, making him. Like I do think that he's like kind of being haunted for like a lack of a term, although that's not exactly the word that I'd use, but I don't know the word for it. Um, like when you get those, like most of us get like tingly feelings, or we'll feel a tug on our shirt sleeve, or a feeling on the back of our neck, or maybe on our nose that tells us that we need to do something, right? He's getting those, but they're they're not beneficial. Most of the time we get these things, they're beneficial. It's like, oh yeah, you're on the right track, or oh, maybe you need to go to the doctor, or things like that. He's not getting those. We get the Empress card. He's trying to stay healthy, but the stress is too much. So he's confused. His health outcome's really just up in the air. Um, and he knows what to do, but I don't know that he's following it. He's thinking about his family, and he feels quite alone because I don't think they like him. I mean, I think that's the truth. They just don't like him. So we're all waiting for him to go. He's scared of judgment because he knows the truth. The Ace of Swords. Now, whatever your belief system is in the afterlife, or if you believe in an afterlife at all, you know, it's not good. I mean, he's walking away. He's got Eight of Cups. He's got really good health care, but his health is very volatile. And, we're all going to end up with this new beginning. And, he can keep taking all the medicine he wants, but it's ultimately not going to save him. So I think at the end of the day, his health is very precarious. So Well, thank you again for all the well wishes. It's good to be back. Not sure I'll be posting every day until I'm fully recovered, but then again, I might. So, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'll be back soon.